So my Xtool S1 just arrived in the mail. It's in this box right here. It comes with a couple little accessories that I wasn't aware of. It says on the top there that it is the basic kit. And Xtool have also sent me this other kit here. So it's a screen printer kit, which I think is going to be awesome because I'm going to try and make some t-shirts, print on some t-shirts with this here. It's pretty heavy. I think both of these boxes together feel, I don't know, like 40 plus kilos or something like that. I had to get a bit of help wheeling the boxes up to my apartment. So yeah, I've cleared off a bit of space. I don't have a whole bunch of space here in my apartment, but fingers crossed it should all fit on this table. But I want to go through a little bit of an unboxing to show you what you get inside as well.
So there are a ton of S1 review videos out there already, but I wanted to share my experience of using this machine as a traditional watercolor artist. I've always wanted to create art products based on my paintings, but so far I've been reliant on a lot of those print-on-demand companies to do it for me. And often you don't have control of the quality of the products that are sent out. And yeah, I think Xtool provides a practical way for any artist, even those who aren't particularly tech savvy, to create engravings, prints, and other products easily. So before you can hook the S1 up to your computer, there are a bunch of these safety screws you got to undo in the back and just remove this bit of material. So it just stops the belt from moving around while it's in transport. This is me just basically installing the laser module, take it out of the bag. You got to install the air outputs for the air assist and also the power cable. Once that's done, slide it straight into the holster, and there's a couple of screws that you do up. This is the auto measurement adjustment pin, which hooks on magnetically. Comes with an exhaust vent that you have to install in. Pretty simple. Get a power brick and also a security key that you need to install before the machine will turn on. This is the air assist module you get with some kits, and basically it passes air through a nozzle onto the site of lasering. You get a filter included. There's also a couple of spare filters that Xtool provide. Very easy to remove and install. That is the air intake, and you also have a power cable that allows you to connect it onto the actual S1. So this is the manual that you get with the S1, the Xtool S1, and it's a pretty chunky manual, but bear in mind that a lot of these parts in here may not be applicable to you. It just goes through all the different accessories if you have them available. The model that I have comes with the honeycomb panel and the air assist. That's it. So there are some other accessories that you can get. So there's a riser accessory as well. There's a rotary accessory, but those are not applicable. For me, it only took about probably 15 to 20 minutes to set up the actual device. So this here is the manual for this screen printer, and again, looks like a pretty chunky booklet, but it only goes up to about here. So the rest of it is in different languages. So pretty self-explanatory. I really like how they've structured the manuals, lots of pictures, quite easy to understand, you know, especially if you're not a technical kind of person. I just like how Xtool have made it a lot more user-friendly. So here on the left, they also provide you a set of a bunch of these materials that you can engrave on. So wondering what this was, it looks like a slate, yeah, a bit of slate there. So it's like a coaster that you can engrave on. A couple of stainless steel tags or keychains. You've got a couple of bits of glass as well here that you can engrave on. This is a bit of fake leather. I have seen videos of people cutting out the design of a wallet and then going over afterwards with some thread. A bit of plywood. This looks like maybe 3mm plywood, so yeah, A4 sized. And this is a bit of black acrylic. So I have the multicolored screen printing set, and you can see here just a bunch of different colors. There's 11 colors. Some of them are repeat colors, so you got 2 blacks, I think 2 yellows, 2 reds, and 2 blues, and you get a bunch of these special colors here. So glitter silver, glitter gold, and glow in the dark. This is going to be fun. You can see here on the side of one of the ink jars here basically what kind of fabrics it can be used on, as most types not suitable for nylon. It does say you can wash it after 48 hours of natural air drying, which is cool, so you don't need any other device in order to cure the inks on there. And yeah, it's good to know as well. It's non-toxic, no unpleasant odors, solvent-free, water-based ink. 100 mils per tub, which is going to last you a fair bit. Over here, I have one of the screens that is attached now to the frame, and you get 4 of these if you get the multi-colored kit, so 4 frames and 12 screens. And yeah, basically you lock them in there. I'll show you how to do that a little bit later, but the actual screen measures A3 dimensions, so about 30 centimeters by 42 centimeters, which is fantastic if you're printing onto shirts, if you're printing onto larger bits of paper, tote bags, covers almost anything really. So the screens are pretty easy to fit on as well, because they have this cardboard backing here that's just mounted to the back of the screen. So when you put it on, you sort of know pretty much where the corners are. They just sink into the frame there, and all you have to do is just lock the screen in place. Xtool also include this little tool in order to get the ink onto the screen, and you also get one of these screen printing blocks that just moves the ink through the screen, allowing you to print. Xtool also include this printing board, which is mounted directly onto the screen printer. I'll show you how that works later, but it's quite simple. You've got a bunch of magnets here at the bottom and mounts, and they also include this grippy cutting board, which can go directly on top of the printing board. So if you're using a material to print on that maybe moves around a little bit, a tote bag or just something that doesn't have much grip, you can use that, and it's very grippy and sticky. So yeah, just depends on what you're printing on. Here are some magnets that are included that really help to hold down material, especially if it's not a completely flat material. I found a little place to set up this screen printer, and this is the board that you get where you basically attach the shirt or whatever you're screen printing on. And you can see on the back of the board, there's a bunch of these little mounts. So 2 of them are for these 2 metal bits, and yeah, basically that one's for the bottom bit there. So these magnets as well attach to the top. So it's really important to make sure this lines up, and basically it's quite simple. I mean, it just goes into the grooves anyway. Okay, there are a bunch of these little bits and pieces here as well at the bottom, these 3 sort of dials. So the one to the left and the right basically just rotate the bottom or the top. So if I keep turning to the left, it actually just rotates the bottom of the board to the left. The same if I rotate this one to the right, rotates the top one to the left or right, depending which way. So that might be useful if you, yeah, basically just aligning the shirt. You want to get it exactly, you know, smack bang in the center. This one in the center here just basically moves the board up or down. It's kind of difficult to see here on camera because it's just, the movement of it is just so, yeah, it's just so subtle. And on the top as well, there is a white line, vertical line, and same goes on the actual screen printer itself. There's a white line on the metal at the top, so that way you can tell the board and the screen printer are actually lined up. So this is the cutting board, and basically, as you can see, it is really, really grippy. So, I mean, compared to that, say if you had something maybe that moves around, maybe this tote bag, you can see there's still a bit of, you know, a bit of grip on that. But if you put this on top, then you have that. That is not, I mean, that is not moving anywhere at the bottom of it anyhow. This is a frame that I've assembled and put a screen on. Didn't take very long at all, and basically it slots straight in, oops, this way, so like that, okay? And of course, this bit of cardboard, when I'm actually printing using the laser printer, I'll take that cardboard off so it can laser off the areas that I want, okay? But there are these 2 locks here, so just basically clamp those in place. And there's a couple ways you can sort of print. You can push down like that and grab this little block here and go like that. Or what I found, I've seen some people do, is that they push it all the way down, tighten this
knob there on the end, and that way what you can do is that you can actually lift up and push down directly onto the shirt or whatever. So if you have multiple shirts, you could put one in, close it down, print, open up again, take off the shirt, put another one in. In the multicolor set, you get 12 of these screens, so you can make tons of different designs. They also give you a little tote bag as well, so I guess that's a bit of material that you can print on, but otherwise you'd want to go and get some additional t-shirts or materials that you'd like to print on. I want to go through a little crash course of the Xtool XCS software. So this is the software that comes bundled with the S1, pretty much all the other engravers and cutters from Xtool. It's important to, I guess, talk about this because 90% of your work is actually done through the software itself. Other than picking up the material and putting it into the machine itself, you know, most other functions are done straight from your computer. So it's a pretty simple software to work out. I just watched a couple of videos from the Xtool website, just going through its basic interface and the different functions, but I'll go through the functions and essentially how I use it. So at the moment, I've got a bunch of different projects opened up. So the great thing about the new software, because there was actually a previous version before this, I think 1.7, now they've got the 2.0 version, is that you can have multiple projects open at the same time. So this is great. At the moment, I've just got this one open. Now this top bar here, as you can see, just, you know, your normal file open as usual. You got your save up the top there as well. This little bit here allows you to add different canvases. So, you know, you might have one project, but you want to separate out 3 different bits of that project in there. It could be a really big project as well. Okay, and then you can just select which canvas you want to be on rather than completely creating a new project altogether. All right, so let's go through this little bar here on the left. Pretty important, just some tools to get you started. So this first icon there just allows you to select an image from your computer. So, you know, JPEG, PNG, SVG files as well for vectors. So I'm going to go ahead and select one on my computer. Okay, so selected an image, and this is a little bit of artwork that I did a while back, just a little line and wash drawing. And you can see, yeah, you can move it around, change it around, all that kind of thing here. And the cool thing as well is you can actually go ahead into some of these settings and change the image. So down here you can click adjustments on the bottom right, and you can set the grayscale. Okay, so this is going to be important when you engrave, but yeah, you can set it so that it targets certain values, so the lighter or the darker values, or you can just get it to show the entire range of values. Sharpness as well, yeah, you can bring that up to 100. So I find that the sharpness setting does help when you're engraving. It just makes the lines a little bit more crisp when they come out from the engraver or the cutter. Reset it back to the default now. And there's also this thing here that says filter. So yeah, you can use a bunch of these different settings here. So this one here is grid, and I think this would be a pretty good setting for screen printing because you get a whole wide, you know, range of values in here. So you can sort of see between light and dark. There's some other ones here like sketch, again, that just sort of emphasizes the lines. And this works quite well because I guess my image is mainly line work, but when you're using other images, sometimes it may not look so good. So it's really just trial and error, having a look at what works for you and what you might potentially want to print. You know, I tend to just leave it on the original if I'm engraving, and I'll use the adjustment bar here just to change the grayscale of the image. Another setting here as well, edit image. So you can go in and basically, you know, change the fuzziness of that image, you know, make it a little bit more blurry or clearer if you want. There is also an eraser and the crop function, which I've used a fair bit to take parts of the picture. So something like that, you know, click the tick and save. So yeah, if you're engraving on a square block of wood or something like that, and you only want to take a square section of it, you know, that's an option for you.
So through here, you can see there's some dimensions which you can alter as well. You can even change the angle of the image. And yeah, this little button here that says outline. So this basically just adds a vector outline to your image. So if you can see here, this little blue line on the outside. Okay. And what I actually use this for is for basically cutting around the image, or maybe just adding a little border. This next icon here is the text icon. So basically just click it and then click wherever you want in order to add some text. This is just some default text that it's put on there. Okay, you can go ahead, go down the side there, change the font. It takes any sort of font from your computer that you already have installed. At the moment, it's on the score mode, so it's basically just cutting around the edges, but you can change that to engrave so that you get a darker setting for the entire letter. Okay, and there's also the cut function as well, but I'll go through that in a little bit more detail afterwards. So you've got this next section here, so you can actually draw lines as well. So if I just go like, oops, where is it? Here. You can just draw lines. I don't really use this one very much. However, I do use the rectangle and the circle functions. So I might, for example, put a rectangle here. Okay. And, use that rectangle as the guideline to cut out once it's finished engraving this image. So this next tool here, this vector tool, allows you to basically get some really fine detail, okay, in editing any of these vector shapes already added on. So this is more, I guess, for designing your own cutouts, patterns, templates, that kind of thing. So this fourth icon here allows you to select some shapes that are already pre-made. So you can see there's like triangle, what else do you have? Stars. You just basically click on them, and again, you can change to whether you want to score, engrave, or cut the image into the material. Some really cool stuff in here. You've got animals as well, so you can have a little animal in there. There's even a cow. Look at that. Yeah, it's a whole bunch of stuff in there that you can choose from. There's even patterns. So if you are potentially like engraving a pattern onto something, you can just click that icon there. Okay, and I'll show you what else you can do with this as well, so you don't have to continually add them over and over again. There's actually a little trick that I found out. So this next button here that says AI basically just goes into this Xtool Arty Mind website. So it's pretty cool. I used this when I started off to generate a couple of images. So all you need to do is create an account, sign in, you get 300 points, which should allow you to generate about 100 plus images quite easily. And yeah, these are just some examples that you can pick from. So say if you like a particular style, let's say one of the things I was drawn to first was these deep engravings. So maybe you want to see like, what's this? Is a crow, deep engraved kind of crow. So you can see method. So that was the prompt, a raven. So method, laser art, and low relief, and you can click here, generate in the same style. Okay, so it already selects those settings, but essentially these are the generation methods up the top. It's just gone into that laser art setting and already picked the other ones. So let's just give it a go for the sake of it. So generate in the same style, image count 2, and here you can see cost, so 4 points, and that 296 points that I already have. I'll just click it again. So that was the 2 cats that I generated last time. Takes a little bit of time for the images to generate. The images are now generated, so what you can do is that you can download to local or import to canvas, and there you have it. It's right on the canvas now after importing. So there are a couple of techniques as well. You can just engrave it like this after changing it to grayscale. Okay, but what I find people do is that they actually copy and paste it and I've done this myself as well. And in the second image, you could do things like, you know, emphasize some of the darker spots like that. Okay, and use this as like two different layers. Okay, so you can actually join these together using the software, and so it does this layer first, then afterwards it comes through and engraves the darker areas to help those leaves to sort of pop out more and gives it more of a three-dimensional look. It's not necessary, but yeah, that's just for a slightly different look. So this last applications tab here at the bottom is quite interesting. It's got some tools that are helpful. I use this one when I have a new bit of material. So how it works is that I just basically draw a rectangle, okay, say I want to engrave something. See, it's colored in that whole square. So I can then click materials test array and it generates an engrave test. Okay, so what you do is that you just specify the parameters. So say if you're just not sure, you know, how much power to use on your laser, you might want to go from 50 to 100. Okay, 50 to 100%. You might want to add some more columns. Okay, you've got 8 columns up as well. Okay, you can adjust the speed of the laser head as well. So maybe I want to go from 200 all the way up to 600 millimeters per second in terms of how fast the laser head is moving. Okay, so yeah, if you can cut something a lot quicker, or if you can engrave something a lot quicker, you know, at higher power with no detriment, no burning or anything like that, you probably want to select that setting instead of something that's really slow, low power and slow as well, unless, you know, that material demands it. So just click OK. And yeah, that's ready to engrave straight onto your material. There's a couple of other bits and pieces as well. So these two up the top, grid array. So again, I've just created this little thing from before. I think that was in where was it here? It was in one of the shapes. So you can click grid array. So allows you to select how many bits and pieces you want as well. So if I want 6x6 grid like that, click OK. And this can be quite important if you are looking at maybe just using some type of pattern, engraving a pattern on your bit of material. You can also click it again and go circular array. And yeah, it just adds different copies and rotates them. So I don't use this one that much. I'm not sure where you'd use it. I mean, you could create some nice looking patterns, I suppose, but yeah, personally I don't use it too often myself. Code generation, so this allows you to generate a QR code that you can then engrave onto a bit of a block of wood or whatever. So if I want to just put like a website, so my website, watercolormentor.com, or even my personal website, darrenyeo.com, save that, and it creates a nice little QR code here. And you might want to add, you could add a little company logo, or you put your name, or, you know, scan QR or something like that. And if you've got a market stall, this could be pretty useful, or just, yeah, something that you're using to direct someone to a link. Okay, so if we click on the bottom left hand corner, layer and objects list, you can see here there's a layer. So the blue layer is currently selected, and it shows you the objects within that layer. So at the moment I've just got this dog, and you know, I can copy paste another one here to the side. You can also change the order of the objects as well. So if you want a particular action done before another, so for example, if this one is on cut, you know, I can get it to engrave this dog first, and then do this in cutting of this other dog to the right there. So yeah, it depends on what you want to do. Sometimes, you know, you might want to engrave something and then cut around it afterwards to pull it out of the wood. And here's another thing you can do as well. You can, just copy this, paste it, and we can move this to another layer. So I can have like a red layer here. Okay. And there you go. You can sort of have them both selected and see what's inside. It tells you which objects are within each layer as well. On the right hand side here, you can see there's an object and processing tab. So this allows you to basically select what mode you want to have the laser engraver or cutter on. So I've got it on process on base plate at the moment. So that's what you use 90% of the time if you're not engraving a screen for screen printing, you know, or any kind of curved objects, you know, a flat bit of material, that's the one to select. So I've got the honeycomb attachment with mine. So yeah, you still select that same processing option there. You know, some of you might have the rotary attachment where you're rotating tumblers or cylindrical objects in there. So that's just, you know, that you need to select that. Curve material, this is really interesting. You can put in something like a plate or a bowl, and it's able to actually mark out all the areas of the curvature of the material, and then take that into consideration when it's engraving. So yeah, pretty cool. But most of the time it's on process on base plates. Now the material, this is where things get really cool, because you just need to select whatever material you've got on here. Now these are all the standard materials that Xtool provide, but I have used some of these same settings for other similar materials as well. So for example, 3mm basswood plywood. Okay, let's just say we're engraving on that, or we're, you know, cutting on that. So you just need to select that. And then what you do is select the object. Okay, so maybe that dog, click easy select panel. And there is now this new setting, which just allows you to basically choose what you'd like. So what type of power setting will lead to the best results. So if you see down the bottom here, and that's kind of just, it's getting pretty charred and it's very dark. So if you want a really dark engraving, you'd want to use that. So 100% power, 100% speed. If you want a lighter engraving, you know, you might want to go for one of these ones here. You know, I tend to go for something like this. So yes, where it's not, there's no charring, but you've still got a nice amount of darkness. So maybe this one or that one. So all you need to do is just select it. And Xtool have basically just got a bunch of people to run these tests on all these different materials, and based on your particular laser model. So it makes things a lot easier. So you know that if you use this particular material, so 3mm basswood plywood, and you select this setting, that's how it's gonna turn out. So then it populates the settings automatically, and that's it. Pretty simple. So, you know, you can select other stuff as well. So let's say like 3mm black walnut plywood, and it loads that up as well there. So you can see it's kind of interesting because, you know, this setting here, which is only just one, you know, 80% versus 100%, there's quite a big difference in the engraving, the darkness of the engraving. And, you know, this one here actually looks better. Actually looks better than that one, in my opinion, because you've got more contrast if you're engraving maybe something white in the center. So yeah, let's see what else there is. I think there is one for the what is it called, that coaster, find it, rock coaster. So that's one of the materials that Xtool include in that free kit, and I'd say most of these look pretty similar, with the ones on the white, the right, sorry, getting a lot whiter. So yeah, you might want to select, say, that one even, you know? And yeah, it's interesting because you can see, you know, 350 millimeters per second, that's moving pretty quick. So you're going to engrave a lot faster. So 80% at 350 yields pretty similar results to, you know, 150 millimeters per second at 80% power. So, you know, if time's an issue for you and you need to pump out a bunch of these coasters, you know, selecting that one will give you pretty similar results in, yeah, less than half the time. So yeah, it's quite interesting little benchmark, and they didn't have this on the initial software. This is only available on the 2.0 software, the beta testing software. So yeah, this is making things a lot easier for people just to get started. So with this next step here, what we have to do is measure the distance from the laser to the material that you're engraving and cutting it. Luckily, Xtool make this very simple. So all you need to do is just put the material onto the cutting or engraving surface and make sure that the red crosshair just lines up with any part of the surface. Then click this button. So I've got a bit of plywood in there at the moment, and you can see it's gone and touched the bit of wood, gone to the side to reset the pin, and it's now moving back. And you can see here the distance in millimeters, 13.17. So it's pre-populated that box, so it means that now when the laser is engraving or cutting, it's perfectly focused. So now what we have to do is click on start marking, and in this section we just have to choose basically what type of material, the size of the material that we're using. So, you know, I'm using a rectangle, but you know, you might have like a circle, or you might have like a strange shaped bit of material, so you can actually mark out the exact portions of that material, or just use lines. Okay, for this one I'm just going to click rectangle. So what this means is that you've got to measure put that crosshairs in 2 points. So here you've got to put the crosshair in 2 points, so one on the top left hand corner of the rectangle and one on the bottom left hand corner of the rectangle. So you just press the button on the side of the machine each time, and it will make a beep. I've disabled the beep on my model, it's just kind of annoying. So now that we've marked both points on the top left and the bottom right, you can see that it shows up here, and all you have to do is click end marking, hit done, and that is your workspace, this little square below. So, you know, I've selected a pretty small area, but if you're selecting like a print or a larger sheet of wood, that's going to take up obviously a lot of room. So whatever you put within that square is, or that rectangle, is going to be your workspace and be cut out from there. So yeah, pretty easy. So over here I'm going to select object on the right hand side. So basically with the object setting, you just have to select an object or a vector, that kind of thing. So I've selected this dog here, and you can see the processing type. You can change that to engrave, score, or cut. Now engrave just basically colors it in, engraves it. Scoring is kind of like a shallow cut, so it'll just draw the outline of the dog like that. Okay, and cut obviously just cuts through the wood. And again, you have this easy set panel option here. So with a 3mm basswood, if I want to cut out this silhouette of the dog, you know, there's a few different settings that you can choose from. You can see these top 3 settings were not enough to cut out the X, but you know, as you move down, so yeah, what's this, 9mm per second, that's able to cut out that X pretty easily. You don't need to go up to 100%. So interesting, because they've only done 9 tests here. You know, say if they went up to, I don't know, like 12mm per second at 80%, I wonder if that would still be sufficient to cut through, because it looks like at 15 it was getting pretty close at cutting through. But you know, I'm always going to select something like this, like 9, you know, something with less power and a little bit faster as well, because that's just going to result in less charring. You know, when using more power and slow speeds, that's when you do get more of these burn marks around the edges. So we don't want something like that, so I'll always select that. And once you're ready, you just have to hit process, and it prepares a little bit of a preview here, and you know, it even shows you the trajectory of the laser. So what it does, you can speed this up to like 40 times speed. Oh, that was a bit too quick, but that again, yeah, see how it kind of lasers or cuts out these 2 silhouettes of the dogs. And yeah, I just leave it all on automatic. It chooses the most efficient pathway. Okay, and all you do is just hit start. So now XCS has sent this image over to my S1 for processing. In order to start, you just have to go over to the machine and manually press this button on the bottom right hand corner, and I think that's just done as a safety precaution. The Xtool also have a whole bunch of projects that you can go on and just download, get started straight away. So it's just projects.xtool.com. So I'm there at the moment, and you can see, you know, it's just on the home page, but you can actually select the machine that you're working with. So I have the S1, so I'm going to go to the S1 projects. Now I don't limit myself just to the S1 projects, because these projects, a lot of them are just created by people who have a particular machine. So if, say, that person has like a D1 or something like that, it's still applicable to the S1 as long as you go through, maybe alter some of the settings. Sometimes the laser output may have to be reduced in power, that kind of thing. So, you know, it's still applicable. But if you want the easiest ones that are ready to go, you know, I'd go for this one, the Xtool S1 projects. And, you know, I actually started out doing this one first, this relief engraved dragon, 3D dragon. And, you know, that's designed for my 20-watt S1. Really simple, just download and pretty much ready to go straight off the bat. So if we go back, I'm going to show you a few more little projects that you can do. So, you know, this one, I saw it before, this clock, I thought that looked pretty cool. The lion clock, and that's again for the S1. And all you have to do is just click, say, open this file here, open in XCS, it will download, then open the file. So again, this is great because XCS now allows you to work on a few different projects at the same time. So you can be, this one may be connected and already cutting out on your S1, and then you can minimize it and be working on something else. So yeah, can't connect it at the moment, I'm not sure why. Oh, there it is, it's connected now. So that is the entire design. Essentially, we do have to follow some instructions because I think there's different layers that you're printing out. So there's two, yeah, so you're probably going to be printing on two separate sheets. And here you go, there's a few more bits and pieces in here as well. Laptop screen printing, the S1, you know, trifold display design, some type of, okay, it's like a screw measurement device. I've even seen someone come up with a chess set, a couple of chess sets here, which I thought were pretty cool. One there, a few more, but you know, even the box, how to make the box as well, given that you have the same material, pretty much just plug and play. There's occasions as well, so you can click on occasions, Xtool Father's Day, ideas. So, you know, you can go through, pick off some of these ideas and print them, engrave or cut them out straight away. So yeah, this is a great place to get started, especially if you know, you're feeling a little bit intimidated and just want to pick a project that's ready to go. This is a good place to start.
Okay, back on the computer now, and for this next step of using the screen printing kit, we're going to need to find an image. And basically, I am going to be using, or I've been playing around with 3 different images here. These are some artworks that I created in the past, and this is a beach scene. I've got a scene of Nice in France. I've also got a scene of Venice here at the bottom. So I've been playing around with all of them and, you know, creating this kind of style here. As you can see, it's almost like this pop art like effect. And yeah, essentially what I've done with these 3 here is that I've clicked on the image. Okay, so oops, just single click on the image, and there's a function here that says trace image, so just click that. Takes a little bit of time for the preview to generate, and there you go. Here is the traced image. So basically just converts your painting or your bit of artwork into a more simplified scene. And if you have more kind of a line artwork, it's going to do a much better job, because compared to my painting, which I've converted in here, there's a whole bunch of different values. There's light, darker values, lots of bits and pieces here in the ground as well. So basically just click save, and there you can see it's saved right on top of that file there. And I'm going to drag this down. It's really lagging out at the moment because I've got too many things here on the canvas, and I'm going to just go over to the side here and select engrave. All right, and there you have it. So that's how I got this image there on the bottom right. So what you can do here, because there are 2 different layers, the program has essentially separated out. If you look at the original image there, it's taken the darker values, the darker tones, so these 2 figures here in the front, and it's given them a darker value compared to the background, which is more of a kind of
you know, lighter, it's almost like a dark purplish sort of color, but not as dark as the black there. And it's left the lighter sort of, you know, lighter areas as just the white of the canvas. So really you've got 3 values in here. Okay, you can do it like this, or what you can do is when you go over to trace, you can just select so that it doesn't separate it out into multiple layers. So where it says layering by color, it just basically just untick that box. And that's what I've done right here for this version here. You do lose a lot of detail, but if you want to screen print with just one color, get everything in with one go, not have to create a second screen with the secondary layer, then that's the way to go. But there are some artwork, some images that are more suited to this style. Like I said, if it's more simplified line work, a kind of almost a cartoony style, that would work a lot better, because there's a lot of different light and dark values in here. You're just going to miss out on a lot of that detail. So another alternative I found is just converting the image directly into a more simplified kind of dot matrix style design like this. Okay, and you can see the areas that are darker just have more dots. You know, the dots are closer to each other compared to the areas that are mid values and the lightest values here, where the dots are very far apart. So that's how it conveys depth and light and dark values. So, you know, I find that this looks a little bit better than something like that, especially if I want to convey more detail in there. So yeah, basically all you do is just click your image, go into filter, and this second one here that says grid. So I mean, I can even just do it on this one here, since I've already done it to the one on the bottom right. So, you know, that's converted that one. Let's see how this one on the top looks with that filter on. Okay, not bad, not bad. Okay, so yeah, I think for screen printing, especially because I'm going to put this onto a shirt, and I do want to just get it in with one pass, one screen, I'm going to go with this methodology. So you can see here, I've actually prepared an example of what I'm going to be printing. So there I've got the image that you saw before, just converted into this dot matrix style effect. So you can see all the details in there. I've got a QR code, which I got from the application icon there on the left. So that's just basically a QR code leading directly to my website. And I've got my website just written here as well. That's going to be carved out from the silk screen. So yeah, thought this would be a nice little thing if you've got a small business or you've got a website or something like that. You can quite easily put something like this together. So I'm going to go ahead and grab my screen, pop it straight into the laser, and let's see how we go. All right, I'm back on my computer now, and I've installed the screen into the S1 just on the top right hand corner. I've also measured the distance here by using that auto distance measuring function, and also have marked the top left and bottom right hand corner of the screen. So what I've done is that I flipped everything over to the right hand side, because this is the part that actually attaches on the right hand side here, that actually attaches onto the screen printing machine itself. Okay, and the shirt actually comes on and attaches from the left, and so the actual collar of the shirt would be around here. So, you know, it's kind of has to be upside down. You'll see what I mean later. But yeah, basically flipped it over to the right hand side, and we're also going to need to flip this image. So I'm going to flip it vertically like that. Okay, so that way when it actually prints on and we flip it over, it's going to print with everything on the right way round. And the last thing I'm going to need to do is just sort of shift it so that it is in the center of everything. So just sort of checking if it's measured it correctly, you know, 1 2 3 4 5, 1 2 3 4 5. So yeah, it's roughly in the center here. We'll probably move it like right there. Bit of cardboard, bit flat in, face down like that so it doesn't move around. Okay, kind of acts as a bit of a template. Okay, so make sure that blue bit is facing up. Then what we're going to do is we're going to add these little pins. So one here on the side, like that. Oops, one in on the side, there. And another here on this side. Make sure it's still through. Okay. Now for the top bits, here, and the bottom bit here. Oops, like that. Okay, now all we need to do is just now tighten these bits like that. Okay, and these two here. And you should have this really nice kind of taut screen now, which should make this noise. It's kind of like a drum noise. Always remember to have the flat side facing up as well. It needs to be in this orientation. Okay, so I've just basically slid the whole thing over to the top right hand corner. All right, so I've just taken this screen right out of my S1 and I'm really impressed at how it looks. You can see with the QR code, you know, nice and crisp lines, and even in the lettering down below, you know, there's no material or anything missing out of those cutout letters, so very clean. The image up the top looks pretty good as well. So yeah, let's put this through and see how it performs. So needs to go in this way, so these two little indents go in first, and yeah, I've had to flip this screen around because I'll show you what I mean when you put the t-shirt in. So it just goes in like that, and oops, once it's in, just press these two bits here to lock the screen in. Okay, and here at the base, I've basically got this mat. It's like a sticky kind of mat that's sitting on top of the wooden board. So yeah, when you put the shirt in, basically it fits on this way. Just move some of this other stuff out of the way. So yeah, the neck of the shirt, the collar, obviously comes up all the way, all the way to here. So that's why I'm printing on this direction, so that it's inverted upside down, okay, when it comes out. So yeah, I'm actually going to give this a go first on maybe a bit of cardboard, so this bit of cardboard here, and pop this underneath there like that. And Xtool have also provided a bunch of these different materials that you can use. So these are some marking stickers. So apparently you can attach the stickers to the magnetic board to mark the position where a material is to be placed. So yeah, if you want the print to appear in the same spot, some little stickers. They've also given me some of these bits of card. So we can actually try on one of these. Let's take out this bit of cardboard. This will be probably easier to work on. So just putting it underneath the screen, and you can see where it is, and you can lift up the screen as well like that. So yeah, and this sticky mat is really sticky. I can't even get the paper off to move now. Oh, it does move. It's just very, very sticky. Yeah, so having it come down around like here, let's just put it roughly about there, and I'm not too concerned about the positioning. I just want to test the actual print itself. So push it straight down until it touches the material, and then there's a knob at the end there that you just screw in. Okay, so that looks like it's pretty good so far. Now I've got some black ink here, so let's try this first. Okay, there's a little cover there. It's really, you're really quite viscous, this ink. And just don't want to drip any of this. Let's take some of this off the lid first, so I don't get, doesn't drip all over the place. Okay, so I'm going to apply this fairly sparingly using this tool that they've given me. It's like a palette knife, or looks a bit like that. Just bring that across. Look, if there's any excess, I can just mop it up and see if I can pop it back into the actual container. But I've got just a straight line like that. I think that should be enough. It's been a while since I've screen printed, so a really long time. I think high school was the last time I've actually done this, so let's see how we go. Pop this all away on the side. I should have really, you know what, I might just get a bit of plastic or something to leave this on so it doesn't, you know what, I'll just leave it here. Why not? Okay, so they've got a squeegee, giving me a little squeegee with this kit. So let's have a try. So from what I've seen people do, you can flood the screen first. So just sort of bring the ink all the way through like that to make sure that that the ink is flooded through the little spaces, and drop that down, and then I'm going to press down fairly hard. Okay, and let's lift up and have a look. Wow! Look at that. That printed out almost perfectly. Take this out. Jeez. Look at that. I think the image came out looking pretty good. I think around the letters though, there's a tiny bit of roundness in some of the letters. I might have pushed down too hard. The top ones look pretty good, but I mean, that looks almost perfect, really. So I think I'm ready to pop that shirt in there and see what happens. So let's firstly load this up. I'm going to take off some of this ink here, just reload it up the top here like that. And also what we can do is just take some extra ink from inside. It's very viscous, this ink. Just make sure I've got enough here on that right hand side for that QR code. Move some of this around. There maybe. Okay, great. Pop this lid back on. I'm getting ink all over myself. Okay, yeah, just don't want to get any onto the shirt before I actually start printing into this thing, but all right, let's move this over, and I'm gonna pick this shirt up. Let's put it through underneath, so like this. Okay, so I'm just gonna position it better, and this grippy board really does help. So you can sort of feel roughly where the material of the shirt touches the wooden board. So I'm kind of just positioning it so that I've got equal space on both sides. Okay, roughly where I want the print to be. It doesn't have to be perfect, but yeah. And let's make sure the material is completely flat as well underneath. Okay, so time to flood the screen. Okay, so we've got ink through the screen. Now let's drop this down here and print. Okay, lift up. Wow. Look at that. So that's the shirt. I probably would print it a bit further up next time, but that QR code showing up perfectly, as well as the text and the image as well, my painting. Amazing. Let's put this aside to dry. Okay, time to put in this tote bag. So, gonna be extra careful this time not to get any ink in, and we have to also be careful just to make sure that this thing is printed the right way round. So you're gonna be carrying it this way, so the handle's this way, so yeah, just double checking. Looks good, so yeah, and if you want to print on both sides, then you have to let one side dry. These inks air dry in 48 hours, which is fantastic, and you can use a hairdryer just to speed up the process a little bit, so that they're at least you can touch them. Okay, just sort of looking at where it's, yeah, and this board really does help with the general measurements as well. Right, let's get some ink in there. Right, so I like how you can pull up this screen as well, so that you can you sort of reload the ink, and then when you push it back down again, it's in the same position. I'm going to need a bit more. Let's go. Put a bit in there. It's very viscous, this stuff. And all right, good. I think that should be enough. Let's just screw this all back in again. All right, so get our squeegee out. Oh, it's magnetized, it's stuck to the table. And let's flood the screen. Like that. Looks good. So drop this down and squeegee across. Okay, let's have a look at the result. Wow. And look at that, it's perfect, or almost perfect. It probably didn't press down as hard on the left side of that QR code there. So there is a little bit of faintness there, but apart from that, everything else looks great. So yeah, that might be something you want to do. Maybe go over it twice just to make sure. You know, another thing you can do is, you know, obviously I've lifted off the entire thing now, but if you lift it off and notice maybe there's some bit that hasn't printed properly, you can close it down almost immediately and reprint that section again. Okay, so yeah, I think overall that's turned out pretty good. I've got an actual poster that I can put up somewhere, and a tote bag. got a shirt as well. And the quality of the printing, I mean, that's just amazing. I didn't know that you could get that much detail. You know, I thought there might at least be some bleeding through or whatever, but, you know, to be able to get a QR code on there, that's quite impressive. So let's put this all away. And what I'll do is that I'll give this a little bit of a wash. So you bring it under the shower or something like that. Just get a shower head in there and just wash out that screen. But I'll remove some of this ink and put it back into the container first. And here's a close-up of the bag, the tote bag that I printed on. And look at that. It's absolutely perfect, the lettering. Like I said, there's a little bit of, you know, a little bit of lightness on the left side. I didn't push down hard enough. There's a fair bit of detail here as well in my painting that I kind of converted and transferred on there. You can make out what it is. I'm actually surprised at the amount of detail that's there as well. It's good to see that it's able to sort of eliminate parts of the material to create this shadowy or mid value here. So it's neither really light or really dark, but something in the middle by just eliminating some of the material, some of the squares, give the illusion of a lighter value. Here is the shirt, and I think this one came out the best overall. Look at that, just perfect. That QR code there in the corner and all the lettering, the image as well. I probably would have made this a little bit larger. Actually, if I had a second go at it, I think I should have, you know, dragged that image out to the corners of the screen so that I'd get a larger print on the shirt itself. And here is just on some paper. And one thing I've noticed with the paper is because it isn't as absorbent as, say, the shirt, the material of the shirt, the letters do come out a little bit rounded off on the edges. So you have to be careful with that. Just make sure you don't apply too much ink and press down a bit lighter as well. And that's going to avoid that issue. But yeah, tested these 3 QR codes using my phone and they all work perfectly. So it's a success in my books. So it's been a couple of interesting weeks learning how to use the S1, and as an artist, adapting my watercolor paintings in ways, different designs to create products, whether it be a keychain, whether it be an engraving, figuring out the types of materials to use as well. And I think this is really cool because I've never been able to, I guess, adapt my artwork into other types of products. Being a painter, you've only got some, for me anyway, some paper or a canvas and some paints. So those are the main products that you're selling, unless you're of course uploading them to print on demand websites. I think the S1 is perfect if you're a hobbyist, you know, if you're a business owner as well, maybe looking to expand out your product range, or maybe you're an artist like me looking to start your own small lasering business. The machine has a larger work area, so over A3 size, so that means you can process a wide range of materials and products. You can also batch process small products given the large working space as well, so that's going to make things more efficient rather than working in a small area like you find with some other lasers. And I was surprised at how easy it was to learn how to use the S1 as well. There's tons of support available online. There's pre-made projects, even the software, the XCS software, is very intuitive to use and there's lots of tips along the way. And the simplest form, it's just a matter of dragging an image in, selecting your materials, playing around with some settings and hitting go. So there are of course a few additional features that you will pick up along the way to refine some of your work and, you know, create some more unique styles, but that's something that you'll pick up along the way. One thing you have to remember with the S1 is that it is quite large and also expensive, but it is one of the best all-rounder lasering machines out there, especially if you're working, like I said, on those larger projects. And I do like how it comes with various add-ons, things like the rotary design, that rotary tool, and the screen printing tool that I used as well. Most importantly, it's beginners friendly. I recommend the S1 to anyone who's interested in creating laser projects, particularly artists like myself who want to create their own merchandise, prints, and other arts and crafts products. If you're interested, go ahead and check out the link in the video description. I've got a special discount voucher where you can purchase the S1 and a variety of accessories. If you have questions as well, let me know down below in the comments. I'll get back to you. If you enjoyed the video, do me a big favor, click the like button. It just helps me to get this video out to more people. It doesn't cost you a cent. And if you want to see some more tech reviews, make sure you subscribe.